Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are, and welcome to a NerdTube Final Fantasy 16 trailer story and gameplay trailer review. I am joined, of course, by my Final Fantasy compatriot, my party member in arms, as you would say, Majo Rage. How you doing, bud?
Doing great. Excited to break down this trailer and discuss it with you.
All right. So full disclosure, we have already seen this, but we are going to we're going to watch it through, make some comments as we go through, maybe, and then break it down afterwards and talk about the pros, the cons, and what we think. So let's just get right into it. Let's do this. It's a little bit easier to see. Can you hear that? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In a world ruled by tyranny and turmoil, there are those who fight to take back control of their fates. Oh boy, Final Fantasy 13.
Who are we?
Let's hope not.
What are the dominants? The power we wield.
It almost looks like Leviathan there.
Our very being.
Garuda.
It breaks us. It unmakes us. At its immaculate aspect.
Comet.
Feel itself. The icon.
Titan. Parade of summons. I like it.
There's going to be another war, isn't there?
That's a very Final Fantasy moment right there.
It's very reminiscent of the opera.
So here we get some of the gameplay. We'll get more in detail with that.
I must say I'm impressed with the voice acting so far.
Stagger! Another Final Fantasy 13 or 15 thing. And some sexy time in a Final Fantasy.
And found a new order to see us unto tomorrow.
Big old battle.
If I take the field, our duel will shake
Big old
the
dude.
island
Yeah, big old dude.
to its foundations.
So this is where it gets really interesting for me.
I agree.
Maybe not right here. There, when we get into this part right here. So you notice that the summons have health bars.
Yes.
And so is there like a monster arena type battles system in this game?
Maybe. It seems as if the summons are battling each other.
And they have health bars. That's what I like.
So you're definitely controlling them at some point.
Another can be built. The Empire will live on.
Oh, another Empire. Phoenix.
And then this music is very reminiscent of 2. And the Final Fantasy main theme.
Now, this is the part that broke me.
Awaken, child of fate. Awaken, if free.
This part right here. Summer 2023. Come on. I mean, I get it. I'd rather it be finished, completed, and not rushed. I get it. I know, but still.
I don't want to get it in parts.
I know.
It's killing me to wait on 7 Remake Part 2.
But at least they're giving us a time frame, and I'm sure there will be a delay involved. I mean, if there's one thing we know about Square Enix, they always delay everything. All right, let me. Okay, so we're gonna change this up a little bit, maybe. Let's do it so they can see us a little bit better here. All right, so as we go back here, so some of the imagery here is going pretty good here. I like a lot of the you got how the summon is kind of coming out of this Sephiroth looking character right here, because it does look a lot like Sephiroth, but this almost reminds me of Leviathan. Like, kind of look. I mean,
it has definite water type aesthetic to it.
So I wonder if they're just holding out on some of these summons. Maybe there is a Leviathan in there. Maybe there is some other things. And there's also some of this like like the X-Men always do like the genetic intros or whatever. I mean, they are kind of pushing that. I can't get to the actual picture, but they're definitely pushing that aesthetic of like it's ingrained in their genetic code that these summons are there, and that's the aesthetic that I'm really getting. What and Mage, stop me if you've got to say anything about any of this. Just stop me and just say, actually,
I think you're on the right track there. It seems like the summons in this game are going to be tied into people intrinsically.
Yeah, and we see that in a couple instances, like the one guy who has like the fire fist. It looks like it's just like an Ifrit fist, like and then there was another thing. Oh, who was it? I don't remember. There was somebody else who had something that kind of looked summony-ish. Okay, so we got Bahamut. I mean, we know all this. We've seen all this. This part right here is very interesting. This part kind of gives me like true Final Fantasy vibes, where the antagonists or the protagonists are kind of chilling, and they're like, "Oh, is there another war going to start?" And it's just like, this is kind of like probably when they're younger, before the war that we see later on in the trailer has broken out, because from the original trailer, that, by the way, came out in September of 2020. It has been a year and 9 months since we've seen anything from this game, like substantial. I looked it up before I got on here.
That's a long time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't realize how long ago it was until I looked it up.
It's been a time warp of a couple of years, but that's still a very long time.
Yeah, to not get anything. But we do know that there's going to be a younger version of the protagonist, and then an older, more gruff version of the protagonist, from what we've seen between the two trailers so far. So, I mean, I'm okay with time skips in games. I do like it when you see the maturity of a character come within the game, not just like at the end of a game, like right in the middle, or at the end of the first arc, maybe. There's a definite like time skip. 5 years, it doesn't have to be huge. 1 year, 5 years, something like that.
It gives a more believable sense of progression when there is time that has elapsed, as opposed to sudden epiphanies by characters.
But anyway, so this is that moment. It also reminds me a little bit, like their outfits remind me a little bit of Final Fantasy 11. I don't know if you ever played that one, but yeah. So here we have our brooding, maybe antagonist. I don't know. Maybe
he has antagonist vibes.
Yeah, the red jacket, the dark hair,
the mustache.
He's like this. And I don't remember what he said right here, but it's just like, he's got that,
I'll twirl it for him.
Yeah. Well, you've got the beard for it.
Maybe I'm the villain.
Maybe. So here's a part here, and I was looking at this earlier. So you obviously see here, I wonder if summons are more going to... Okay, so in Final Fantasy 13, when they had like the what are they called? Not the forms, but like the change whatever. Oh, what was it called?
I don't remember.
They go from like Sentinel to it's been so long since I played.
Was that stance?
Yeah, stances, I think. So if you look up here in this top left corner, you can kind of see
an icon like you can end L2. So you're going to switch between modes.
Yeah, so I wonder if it's summon based though. I wonder if you can, like, this one looks like Phoenix, and I think this one's Garuda down here. Because obviously it's green, so I'm assuming it's wind, and then that would be the Garuda summon from Final Fantasy 14, probably from other Final Fantasies, but that's the first place I saw Garuda at. So yeah, you've got that, so that's going to be interesting, where you can, like, it's kind of like a stance change, you go from like Phoenix stance to like Garuda stance, and it changes your entire play, how you're playing and stuff like that. I got a lot of that from Ghost of Tsushima, because you would have all the earth, wind. There was other stances, shadow stance, I think. But like, you'd have these different stances that could fight well against different types of enemies. So I don't know. I mean, it's okay. I guess that it's summon based. I guess that's okay. I like the fact they're putting so much into the summons. You have anything else to add to that?
I want to look at a little bit more of this gameplay stuff before I give my final thoughts on it.
Okay.
I will say the cinematic aspect of the combat is appealing. It looks like it's going to have lots of cool moments to entertain you during the fights.
Yeah.
It looks like right here we've got different skills that are proccing.
Yeah, and if you, whoever Clive is, that's what it says up here in the top left corner. He's level 13 with 1150 HP. If you look down here in the right corner, you can't see it because the stupid line is down here. I don't know if I can get rid of this.
Jump,
but
Phoenix Shift, Scarlet Cyclone. So it looks like moves mapped.
Yep, and you can see up here, look here, there's a big Phoenix wing as he's attacking. So and you were right earlier when you said a lot of this combat and summon looks intrinsic of what we're getting here. So like the summons are intrinsic as to what their abilities are, what they're doing. Right here is something that I don't think I skipped over anything really pivotal, but we got like a town setting, but it looks very medieval, like going back to the roots of Final Fantasy.
Yes.
The only issue that I have here, and on top of that, if you look, it says Odin 0. So, and as you can see up here, if you look in the top left corner now, we've got 3 different summons. So you can switch L2. This one looks like it's
maybe
Odin.
that is Odin, yeah.
Yep, and then Shiva is blue, and then it looks like it's
maybe
purple.
Titan.
No, I think that's Ramu. It's purple. Sorry, I know it's bigger on my screen, so I can see a little bit better. But also down here, you can kind of see in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see potion, high potion, strength tonic. So you're also going to have item management down here in this corner down here.
It looks clean. It looks tight.
It really does. And at this point, they're level 26. So obviously, they're much further in the game with whatever's going on here. So we get more. And again, you get more. Now you have Shiva Garuda, and Phoenix. So yeah, and you have Diamond Dust, it says here. So obviously, you have some more Shiva. So obviously, as you said, the summons are going to be very intrinsic into the combat. The only thing that worries me about what I've seen so far, and as you can see, there's big battles that are happening cinematically. I'm kind of glossing over. So if you want, Mage, if you want to stop and talk about any of this, please do. But like this big dude here, he looks very menacing. He looks like he's doing something shady. We get some better views of Titan and Shiva fighting here. Bahamut.
Phoenix.
And then Phoenix and Ifrit, from that's from the first trailer. Some great looks. I don't know who that's Titan, I believe, because here we get into the thing that I'm kind of really interested in. As we said while it was playing, it looks like there's a monster arena Titan battle aspect to this, where you're probably controlling your summons. Either this will be a function in battle, like where you can switch over to fight like summons to fight, or there's an actual like monster arena where your summons fight each other, which I don't see how that would. I could see that being like a side thing, but not being like a main thing. The last time I remember seeing anything like that for me was in like Xenogears or Xenosaga, where you had like the big mechs that you brought into battles.
Yes.
So I don't know. Anything that I've said so far, you wanna comment on, or?
Out of everything I've seen, I almost want to watch the whole trailer one more time slowly with you before I say my big concern that I felt after watching my first playthrough.
Okay. All right. So we have Garuda here, more of that, more Bahamut. So as I said, I'm just kind of grazing through here. We'll go through this one more time. Just to kind of, and then you just tell me when to pause it. I think this is from the first trailer where that town is being destroyed by Ifrit and Phoenix. We definitely have our king character who's arrogant and stupid. A lot of blue aspects here, so I'm wondering if like the summon for his kingdom or whatever is Shiva, maybe, or Leviathan. It's whoever this lady. I think that's the lady from the very beginning, the one I said that looked like Sephiroth. So maybe she's kind of like a Leviathan type. As I said, there's a lot of blue things here, and I mean it could be Shiva, but it also could be Leviathan. I think they're still holding out on us with some of these. This is a better shot of the original trailer with that boy who has Phoenix. You know, because it kind of shows him coming out, and then you get the whole list down: Ifrit,
Yes.
Shiva, Garuda, Titan, Rama. So, and then Final Fantasy 16. And here comes one of my issues here. This guy right here, I'm sorry. He looks like the Warrior of Light from 14 mixed with Noctis. And I'm like, I'm so tired of these dark-haired, broody protagonists that are just like, you know, like the things that I liked about like other Final Fantasies is like Cloud was different. Zidane was different. Titus at least was different. You know, like all these protagonists just seem to be dark, broody whatevers. You know, like they don't even seem that different. So, and I mean, if this is, and that goes into one of my other issues, is possibly the fact that, you know, we might only have a single protagonist throughout this whole game.
Okay, that's what I was waiting for you to say before I said it. That's my concern. I haven't seen any party members in any of this gameplay, and that's disconcerting, to say the least.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for Final Fantasy changing up the formula. They change up the formula every game.
Every time.
Final Fantasy cannot just be single protagonist. This is not Assassin's Creed. This is not Dark Souls. This is not, you know, like it is Final Fantasy, and you need to have that party interaction, in my opinion, for it to be the core value of a Final Fantasy.
It's about a party of individuals becoming a found family and going on an adventure.
Yep. All right. So as you said, I'm going to play it. Just you tell me when you want to pause this, okay?
Yes, sir.
What are the dominants? The power.
So there's our lady that we were talking about. We thought had Leviathan coming out of her. There's Garuda.
It breaks us.
Yeah.
It unmakes us.
Just gorgeous animations and textures on all the summons in every shot. It's got love and care in it.
Yeah.
But major opera scene vibes from that last scene.
Yeah.
We must move now.
And there's Chocobos. I missed that the first time. So and there's your Phoenix. Valencia. I think they've mentioned that before. And actually, did you notice? Did you see the switch? Watch in the top corner. As he's fighting, so it starts with Garuda. You see that up there? Now watch. And then he switches.
Swaps.
And then he goes into Titan.
And it made him do the stomp move.
Yeah. No, this is something here I don't want to touch on too much, but the sexy time. This is the first Final Fantasy that we've had an inkling of sexy time. We've had romances in Final Fantasy,
but never anything kind of more expressly shown.
Yeah, like that's you know, I mean, she's obviously not wearing a top and he's topless, which, as I said, is not a huge deal, but I'm just saying, like, this is a first for Final Fantasy. This has never been done. I mean, I know it's been done in other games, but this is still pretty. It's
pushing for Square Enix for sure.
Yeah, especially Final Fantasy, because they want this to be able to reach
the widest audience.
Widest audience. Now, granted, this might all be it. Like they wake up and she, you know, and then you see the back of them, and that's the extent of it.
But hey, they had a scene and then they put it in the trailer and it got us talking about it here on the internet. Please tell us your thoughts in the comments, folks.
There you go.
The dominance.
All right, so now we've got more Shiva action.
And found a new order.
So a lot of classic villains here, because you say, how do you say those things? I can never remember.
A curl is how I pronounce it.
Okay.
I'm probably wrong, but
so this guy right here, I think he looks like Kane from WWF, or WWE.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he definitely is. Like, if you put a mask on him and give him some like he looks like the Big Red Machine from the WWF. WWE, sorry. So
it's unclear if he's antagonistic or protagonistic.
He does look like he has some. He does, and I wonder if that's this guy because it says here Hugo Kupka, whoever this is. I wonder if that's him. Maybe
but
he's like
transformed.
Yeah, I wonder if he's channeling the power of Titan because he kind of gives me those Titan power, and maybe maybe this is kind of like a Final Fantasy X scenario where it's like they go around and they collect the summons, but they have to beat the current holders of those summons. I mean, I don't want it to be another summon pilgrimage. That's just kind of a rehash, but something like that maybe.
Maybe something that happens more organically via character interaction is not the point of the journey.
Yeah. And I mean, though this may just be trailer foolery, but I mean the way that they transition from this
to that,
and it looks like it's kind of the same area.
Scene. Yeah, same location.
And plus, I mean, the guy's a beast. I mean, and who do you think of when you think of big dudes like that? Titan. So, man, he's shoving people around. All right.
Foundations.
Yeah, and again. And then it goes right into Titan again. So and there's my favorite summon.
Shiva.
Oh, yeah, I love Shiva. And that's Odin. So now we're getting the WrestleMania lineup here of summons. So we're Freaking Titan. Oh, and here, I noticed this. Look up here in the top right corner. This is a question mark. Like it says question. It doesn't say who it is.
I see.
So
I can barely see it past our NerdTube logo, but I can see it.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
It's all good, bro.
Hold on. Let me take it down. No, I want people. I want not only you, but I want other people to see it. Okay, so if you look here in this top corner here.
Question marks.
And it looks like it's got a helmet and some armor around it, but I don't think it's Titan, or I don't think it's Odin. Maybe it is, but I mean, look at that thing.
That's, I mean, maybe a new summon, maybe Crusader.
I have no idea. Either that, I mean, I don't think it's Titan. I mean, it looks huge. It kind of has that rocky look to it. So maybe, I mean, it's got orange in here too. So maybe it is Titan, but maybe it's just you don't know who it is yet. And so that's why it's question marks. I don't know. Oh. And that is 330,000 damage right there, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see.
Big numbers look cool.
Yeah, right? I mean, there's a lot of Earth there, so it might be Titan or like an Earth-based boss, maybe.
Some sort of golem.
Yeah. And then you've got Ramu right here using his lightning.
Great design on him. That
yeah, I always love Ramu.
He's got the ZZ Top beard.
Yeah. And then of course Shiva.
Just the particle effects on that diamond dust.
I know. And then we're back to Garuda. I mean, Garuda is
forefront in this trailer almost.
Yeah. And I mean, Garuda, as I said, my first encounter with Garuda was in Final Fantasy 14. I don't remember if she was in any of the earlier ones. I think she's relatively new summon, though, isn't she? Do you remember her in any other? I don't remember her in a lot of
10.
She wasn't in 10. I don't think so. No.
Okay.
I do not believe so.
No.
10 has the least amount of summons in any Final Fantasy in it. I think they got like 7 or 8 maybe total. Because you get like the base like 6 or 5, and then there's Yojimbo, Mega Sisters, and Anima. So maybe there's like 9. I don't know. I think you get 6, and then there's 3 more or something like that. So anyway, but okay, back on topic. But yeah, there's Garuda there. I mean, Garuda's got a good design. I mean, look at that. I mean,
that's pretty epic.
That is a pretty evil looking summon there. But yeah. So I'm kind of glad Wind finally got a really cool summon, because what has Wind had before now? Typhoon, Pandemonia, in 8.
Quetzalcoatl.
Quetzalcoatl was Bolt, wasn't he?
You're right. I'm misspeaking all over the place this evening.
I mean, no, I see where you get that from. He is like a bird, but his attack was lightning based. So, yeah, I really feel like or wind element has always been kind of shafted when it comes to the summon realm. So, and I think who is Garuda fighting here? Can we tell? Big numbers though. Is it Ifrit?
According to the health bars, yes.
Oh God, yeah, you're right. I didn't even.
I had to lean in, but
no, that I had no excuse. That's just I was being unobservant. So yeah, so there's got to be some kind of monster arena type thing going on here, like Titan Arena or something. Man, blew his arm off, and so we have
pretty brutal.
A nice shot of Odin here on his horse, and I can't see how many legs that horse has, but it better have 8.
There will be losses. It is true.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of feet down there, I think. So I think we're good on horse feet.
Mega Flare versus Gungnir.
Yep. And on top of that, this is during that major battle in that field.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, I mean, that's what's going on.
It's going to be a pretty epic moment. Mm-hmm. We're going to have probably some really good cutscenes to enjoy.
Well, and here's the other thing. I think that I said this in my initial Final Fantasy 16, either my review or my 10 reasons why it won't suck. I did that on the channel back when the first trailer came out. I did the trailer review and then I did the 10 reasons why it won't suck. So if you're watching this, go way back and search Final Fantasy 16 on NerdTube and you will see it. It's good work. I mean, I think I did a pretty good job on them. And plus it was before we started doing more Final Fantasy content. So anyway, but I theorize that all these nations are fighting, but they are all summon based. Like, okay, so Shiva has a nation, so their protector of their nation is Shiva. Like Titan in this battle, Shiva versus Titan. So the armies are fighting, but then also the summons are there too because they're warring as well because their homeland, like their kingdoms are warring. Because if we keep on moving on here, you can see that she shoots, and then there's more. As you can see, Shiva is kind of taking out some of these ground forces here as well.
Mm-hmm. It's not an independent fight; it's connected.
Yep. And this is where I think this story starts to kind of go. And I wouldn't be surprised if like a lot of this trailer, like these summon battles are in the opening credits or whatever, or not the opening credits, but like the opening, because I feel like what's going to happen here is, I think each nation has an element, but then what they made it seem like in the original trailer was this boy has Phoenix in him. So all of a sudden we have 2 different fire summons in one nation. And that kind of throws, as the Brits say, a spanner in the works.
Right. The balance of power is upset.
Yeah. So now there's like, wait, there's this Firebird, but we also have Ifrit, who is our fire golem or whatever type of creature Ifrit is. But
it brings up questions internally and, geopolitically.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I think. And on top of that, this boy does not look like he's any kind of political figure. No. I mean, no, I think is he a prince, or is he? I'm trying to remember from the original trailer. I think that boy is somebody. But still, it's like I think that's something that's going to get spurred is the fact that we have 2 different kinds of summons, because you don't see 2 different types of electrics. You don't see Ixion and Ramu. You don't see Shiva and whatever else has ice. I don't even know what else has ice in the Final Fantasy universe. You don't see Ramu and Quetzalcoatl. You know what I mean? Like you only see one element of each, and then all of a sudden we have Phoenix and Ifrit, and they are dead. They're literally the 2 in the title art. So it is obviously the fact that Phoenix and Ifrit are there is going to be a pivotal moment in that game.
I think you're doing a really good job of breaking down that symbolism, that art, and just what we've seen so far.
Oh, okay. But please add. I get sometimes I get too invested in this
No,
stuff.
I
So,
wish I had something to add. You're hitting it on the head.
well, I appreciate it. Thank you. So this guy, so this is another symbolism that I think really like we've been talking about a little bit here is, and I know we're going way longer than we should, but that's okay. So see how this guy has like all blue?
Yes, he's got the lazuli jewelry on. The
Mhm.
goblet's got the blue lapis kind of thing. The
So
collar of his shirt.
so I really feel like that this is going to be like this is probably the Shiva nation. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
this would be or Leviathan, since it's more of a light blue color, or a
Maybe
lapis,
a
as you said.
coastal kind of
Yeah.
kingdom.
But I mean, it could go either way, Shiva or Leviathan. But like that's another reason why I said maybe each nation has their own, like each nation is represented by a summon. So like Shiva has a nation, Ifrit has a nation, Titan has a nation, Odin has a nation, Bahamut has a nation, and it's like. But as I said before, like when there's two fire summons in the same kingdom, all of a sudden they're it's, yeah, you're right. It unbalances everything, like you were saying earlier, Mage. So, but that's kind of like they, you know how Final Fantasy is. They love using. They're like Power Rangers. They love using those colors to like define certain like differences between people.
All the way back to the first century.
Mm-hmm.
The Empire will live on.
And it's an empire too. So Phoenix, Titan, Garuda, Ramu, Shiva, Odin, Bahamut, and Ifrit. So here's one thing that I really want to point out here. Well, not really want to point out, but you notice how they started with Phoenix and they ended with Ifrit. So that's another thing. I the way they're framing all the summons, that's why I think that it might be a, you know, that is more of a big deal than they're letting on, because
They're at opposite ends of the spectrum.
yeah,
So
but
maybe there's something with the theming where it's a cycle.
maybe as a, yeah, or maybe it's just like, you know, that they're kind of the framework to everything that starts to happen in between.
That conflict is the inciting incident.
Yes, yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Yeah, you see, you put things much better than I do. And that's it. I mean, we've got Final Fan. It's a much. I think the logo looks much better, more crisp right now than it did back in September, last September.
Child of fate.
Okay, so, and I already said this, but this is what really gets me is a single protagonist, boring protagonist. I'm sorry. Maybe his personality will save it, but we won't know that until the game comes out. So, am I saying it's going to suck because that? No, he might be a great character, but this part right here does not entice me to want this game because of this dude, this basic bitch Final Fantasy looking dude. You know, like, I don't know.
He looks like some guy I made for 14.
Yeah, like he really does, and that's what really, and that's what really sad, because a lot of characters in Final Fantasy, as we were saying earlier, Cloud, Zidane, even Cecile, like your dude from your Final Fantasy 4, you know,
Oh,
Cecile is,
he's got two iconic looks.
yeah.
And his sprite sells Cecil.
Mm-hmm.
He's
It's Cecil, not Cecile.
that's you can go either way with it.
Yeah. You know, so it's just like, you know, and even look at Final Fantasy 6. I mean, you've got like almost three main characters in there between Celeste, Terra, and Locke, and just there's so many difference. But it's like, and I wouldn't mind this so much if the last three main characters, and I do count 14. So 14's made like Warrior of Light Hume character looks exactly like that. 15 Noctis. Oh, he looks like an older, grungier Noctis. You know, it's like if it wasn't those in those past two games, then
Noctis went to the gym.
Yeah, like I feel like they needed to kind of go outside the box a little bit with this one to kind of differentiate this game from like all the other, you know, like 15 and 14. And 14's great. 15's pretty good. I liked it. So, but it's like this does nothing to differentiate it from any other Final Fantasy of recent history, you know? So, I don't know. Do you have anything else to add here? Go crazy.
I'm cautiously optimistic. The stance change and summon themed combat looks dynamic but strategic at the same time. So I'm hopeful that you have to do more than just mash buttons to be successful, because there have been entries since they abandoned turn-based where you can just mash on buttons. I'm not going to name any names, but I'm cautiously optimistic. I like the aesthetic. The voice acting that I heard in the trailer is really good, and that's something that's a sticking point for me in any game, but especially in most of the Final Fantasies since they introduced voicing. Is just bad voice acting takes me out of the experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm very curious about this one with the Titan battle, like the summon Titan battle. I call them Titan battles because they look like they're big, huge Titans battling it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that intrigues me. Is that going to be a major point of the game, or is that going to be just a like point of the game where, as we were saying, it's kind of like it organically kind of happens in the story? Like you're going to have these battles between summons, and you kind of get to control what happens. I don't know if I'd mind that so much, but that kind of seems like almost a one and done type scenario. I don't think you can do that every single time. Like it's
it
not
would
like
get stale unless they did them as like cinematic quick time events.
Yeah. Well, but you can't really use. I think like what's going to happen is the actual summons, like they're showing us here, are going to be a part of major battles. But then everything else with summons is going to be like what you were saying, like the big Titan fist that he was using,
manifesting.
Manifesting the power, but not like actually like summoning Ifrit to like hit a big boulder onto them. Like in 8 and 9 and 7 and all that. So I don't know. I mean, I am cautiously optimistic too. I do like the fact that they're going back to some of their roots, but at the same time, this can go one of two ways. This can go the way of Final Fantasy VIII or the way of Final Fantasy IX. And I know that's going to piss people off, but I'm sorry. Like Final Fantasy VIII tried to do way too many different things, and it just didn't work for me, at least. 9, I felt like hit a good stride of different yet familiar. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping for here. It said it's a story trailer. I didn't feel, I mean, besides there's an empire and there's big battles and there's summons, I didn't really feel like I got any idea of the story, which is fine. I don't want spoilers. I don't want spoilers, this far ahead of time. So I don't know. Any last thoughts, Mage, before we dip out of here?
I would feel more like it was a story trailer if they had shown me some party members.
Yeah. Well, but that's the problem though, is that if we're not seeing party members, guess what? We may not be having any party. It didn't look like even in the previous trailer, it did not look like that there were any party members also. It looked like there were other characters that were involved, but there were no party members. And that is a big worry. Even in Final Fantasy 15, you had 4 characters.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I want to, and I mean, I thought maybe this might be a good change for Final Fantasy, where it's like you have a main protagonist that goes around and then you have all these side characters that are like present and a lot, but they don't like fight along your side the entire time. But the more I think about that, the more I'm like, no, I don't want that. I want clear and present party members that are with you the majority of the time, even if it's 4 or 5 people. I would much prefer a party of like 8 or 9 to get character diversity in there, just like different characters cohabitating with one another. But it doesn't lend itself to modern gaming, really, if you think about it. So
it doesn't, and
that's sad.
But it loses one of the things that makes Final Fantasy, and having a single protagonist game is one thing when it's a one-off title like Stranger of Paradise, but a mainline game, it's very disconcerting.
I haven't played Stranger of Paradise. I do have it, but I'm saving it to play where I can actually focus on it. But I thought that there were other party members in there. Now you control one, but isn't there like 3 other people that are with you? I thought. So
everything I saw made it look just about the one character.
Okay. Well, I haven't played it.
I'm talking out my ass, so I don't know.
Yeah. But okay, with all that being said, Mage, thank you very much for joining me. Everybody out there in YouTube land, please consider giving us a like and leave your comment. What do you think? Are we way off base, or do you share our same concerns? Are you totally stoked like we are, or are you cautiously what's the word you use? Cautiously optimistic, right?
Cautiously optimistic is logical side. Fanboy side saw the summons and is squeeing.
Yeah, right. That's me too. All right. Well, everybody, please consider subscribing to NerdTube. We are the greatest YouTube channel you kind of maybe sort of heard of. We will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.